this is a reading for you. It is not attached to a zodiac sign nor a timeline. The intention is, if you come across this reading, it should benefit you in some way. That being said, let's get started. I've pulled some cards for you, and this to me is a very fulfilled spread. In fact, the one warning I do see is to not let intrusive or negative thoughts infiltrate your mind. I don't think that'll be too much of an issue though, because it does seem like you're sort of overcoming that obstacle. I think that there's sort of a sudden, even shocking change that brings the understanding of really kind of how blessed you are and the potential of something, particularly maybe even, in love. It doesn't have to be in love, but I do kind of pick that up. But also, especially if you're endeavoring upon a goal or a pursuit of something, don't get discouraged if growth is slow or if movement is slow, because you find yourself confidently wielding the authority of the emperor, surrounded by, I'm going to say, opulence, extra comfort, the ability to take your time, the ability to not stress. There may be some worry around certain things that you leave behind, but if anything, I think that you're transforming this into a narrative that fuels your passion rather than discourages it. I get the impression of being open without apology, shining without apology. And I get the impression that there's a lot of healing, maybe even in family dynamics, or just healing from past things. Because this whole reading here, it kind of suggests, finding a refreshed perspective, a refreshed way of being. You could have, again, I don't know if it could even be paranoia, or you're just maybe very focused on finding strategies to overcome the odds. It's almost like certain detachments open up doors of possibility for you. If you're resonating so far, feel free to like and subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff. I'm about to mix up my decks. And also, I do have personal readings available on my website if you're interested in a personal reading. And of course, the extended version of this is available on my Patreon, along with a lot of other bonus content. Oh, and by the way, so on my Patreon, just an update with that. So for the third tier, a lot of you maybe don't even know this, but I do illustrations and paintings. So for that third tier of my Patreon, you actually will receive a monthly print of an artwork that I create that month. So if that's something you're interested in as well. Let's see. finding balance in your passions. See, you've embraced the idea of being the Queen of Wands or King, whatever. But it's a very creative, expressive, outside of the box kind of energy. Both the King or the Queen of Wands, in my opinion, are very self-made. They are, entrepreneurs, creative. No one handed anything to them. They built their kingdom. And I feel like you're sort of embodying this fire energy, this motivation, this determination, and this open display of your colors. Not suppressing yourself because of standards or imposed ideas. And this is also, I feel like, motivation towards a goal or something you're building, because especially with what it's surrounded by. And you notice, like, we have the Two of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, and we have Temperance. And if you'll see, they're both kind of maneuvering things. They're doing sort of a very similar gesture. I feel like for one, there is an emphasis on self-development, self-refinement, and really sort of stepping into the shoes that you know that you can fill. Bettering yourself, trying to bring not only quality internally but externally. And you might have a lot to manage. You might have a lot changing. You might have a lot to do. But it's funny because, like, through this development of the self, you find yourself managing it all quite well. You may even surprise yourself. It could be in the early stages, but these first few cards here say to me, like, you got this. Crossed with attention. It could be a focus on your part. It could be learning. It could be development. It could be looking to higher goals, seeing higher possibilities for yourself. But also, this definitely entails an admiration for your work, or it being noticed, or it standing out in some way. And that could come from, developments you're making, improvements you're making, trying to revitalize something or bring improvements to something. And above you, I love this for what's above you, on your mind, you have strength. This is a card of faith. This is a card of knowing. This is a calm mind. This is, being gentle on yourself, but firm. It's not shaming yourself, but it's also being realistic about where you could evolve, where you could grow. And also it's holding faith in yourself. It's about, I feel like you're putting forth the effort because you're coming to understand that you're worth it. It all kind of comes down to that, how we view ourselves, because a lot of us are conditioned to feel lowly, or we condition ourselves to feel that way, even without realizing it sometimes. And, this to me is about divine expression and really trusting in the guidance. You have to have some level of trust and faith to walk up to a lion and pet it. He's enjoying it too. He's like panting. But this comes from a deeper understanding. When you just feel called to do something, when you feel that natural inspiration, and then you just know to act upon it. That's sort of what I'm getting here. Recognition, celebration, your efforts paying off. being recognized. I almost kind of get the impression of like, I don't know. I feel like people are observing your hard work. I feel like people can recognize that you're on to something or you're doing something. You know, this is being cheered on. This is having support. This is like finding victory. And, you know, embracing that. Not downplaying it, not diminishing it. Really kind of owning who you are and, you know, even allowing yourself to be celebrated. That can be hard sometimes. Accepting love even, like accepting that someone sees you in high esteem or that maybe many people see you in high esteem. Behind you, you know, there may have been some fear around this. You know, I feel like you could have been sort of, for one, it could have been, you know, a development period, strategizing, putting things together, but almost like sort of tiptoeing around your passions. It's like you're kind of doing it, but, you know, there was a sense of hiding or a sense of feeling a little bit insecure about it or fear of being judged. You know, that didn't stop you from moving though. Because again, I do think that you're very fueled by this. And, you know, I feel like you're sort of trying to find ways to maybe even beat the competition or find that key that not everybody has. You know, trying to find what makes you different, especially if you're in like some sort of competitive or circumstance where you need to stand out. It's like trying to find your unique touch. Devil and the Emperor. Clarify. You know, I feel like this is sort of fighting your way past toxic people, toxic energy, toxic influences. It's also maybe leaving behind certain aspects of yourself that prevented you from being the Emperor. It's mastering the devil. It's standing up for yourself. It's not letting yourself be bulldozed, excuse me, by circumstances or people who just want to control you or want to keep you bound in some way. You know, I feel like you're overcoming really anything that presents itself. It's also, you know, sort of suggesting that your determination, you know, brings you to the place of being the Emperor. But also these cards are very contrasting because the devil, it can be codependency, it can be obsession, it can be vice. It's not, you know, it's very bound, but it's controlled in a harmful or a toxic way, where the Emperor is the father of the deck. When the Fool approaches the Emperor, he finds refinement. The Emperor teaches discipline. He strips everything away and, you know, break you down, build you back up. That's why the landscape around the Emperor is so barren. And he's very humble. I mean, the Emperor runs everything, but he's in his military boots. Sure, he has his pinnacle, he has his crown, he has his staff. You know, he's not going to be a bum about it, but, you know, he sits on a concrete throne. He has humility and sort of a militant or utilitarian even kind of mindset. And in your perspective, we get the Ace of Wands. So you can feel the changes happening. You can feel the movement. You can feel the momentum. You can feel the development. And it's like something to get excited about. This is change coming into your life. Passion, inspiration, hope. Outside influence, Two of Cups and the Star. Finding, you know, healing in certain relationships or maybe certain collaborations that'll be very beneficial, but it's a point of relief. Maybe you have someone you can trust or that you can depend on, or there's just like a very unique connection in your life. And I kind of get the impression of, you know, having each other's back here and working your way through any conflict. any conflict. You know, maybe there was, clarify this. I don't know, just celebrating even, or like leaving behind certain things, you know. I just feel like you have a lot of support or good things, you know, and people starting to sort of develop around you. You feared death. Let's see. I think that there may be some anxiety that creeps in because, you know, it's like you're aware of your challenge. You're aware of the difficulties that are presented. And I feel like there are things to overcome. It's like sort of, you know, you can see or know even what the outcome is, like say down the road, but you have immediate issues to get past. And that's where it can get kind of tricky. You may also receive some financial relief, or you might find yourself in a position to where you're even able to help others. This to me, also walking away from, say you were dependent on certain things or something, it's sort of gaining a sense of sovereignty or breaking out of unequal power dynamics. It's like, you know, because there's a sense of understanding your value here and also understanding the value of people and things in your life. Clarify. You may have left behind someone or something. I don't know. It's interesting because there seems to be some storm. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Let me see. Maybe it's getting past the storm. It's a sense of, you know, intuitively you know where you're going. There, you know, there's a direction. You have a sense of internal navigation. It's like that inspiration that you know to just act on. And when you do that, you step into a flow with life. I feel like you're integrating into like the rhythm of life. And this brings very positive changes. It's a matter of nurturing it and putting in the work, obviously. But, you know, I feel like you found some of the root of your suffering. Yeah, it's like transforming pain or suffering into an enriched life, an enriched internal state, emotional stability even. I almost feel like it's like sort of going from, you know, you're evolving into the Hierophant. It's like through all of your suffering and pain, there's been wisdom gained there. And maybe you can even use that wisdom to your benefit. Maybe you can use it to help others. You know, because the Hierophant is someone that people come from all over to hear speak, because the Hierophant offers wisdom. The Hierophant can initiate you into higher understandings. This is a very fulfilled heart. You know, and it's sort of without judgment. And I say this too because it's like you're crossed with someone who is like sort of counting their woes while you're counting your blessings. And I feel like there's a sense of empathy. I feel like there's a very fulfilled heart here. And, you know, leaving behind judgment, yeah, absolutely. Because in the outside influence, there's still this sense of someone like clinging to their burdens or they can't see clearly. And, you know, they may even resent you in some ways for that. But, you know, it's kind of like someone trying to fight with someone who's just like, hey, it's okay, it's okay, you know, or even extending a hand. Because, you know, maybe you've been stuck in certain cycles with people for a long time, right? And when you evolve out of it and they kind of see like, oh, this is done. It's like instead of seeing this and like motivating themselves, they view it as a calamity that's happening to them. And the thing is, it's not happening to them. They're looking at it all wrong. And maybe for a long time you were looking at it all wrong, but I really get the distinct impression that you're evolving past that. Security, the Hermit, expansion, stability. Lunar light, past lives, spectrum, self-care. Yeah, again, I feel like this is someone, I feel like there's someone like sort of projecting on you or healing because you're releasing, you know, and it's like transcending. It's like we have possible impossibilities. And this, you know, a lot of this took everything you had, and maybe still is. But there's such an intuitive guidance and even a divine assistance here. You know, maybe, and you know, there's a need to like, with empathy and everything else and with people, there is a need to maintain a level of caution because if you let people overstep boundaries, they will. And maybe you're finding clear lines in those boundaries, not in a toxic or an aggressive sense, but in a, you know, this is what is. And this is true. This is me. This is my thriving. This is my home. This is my whatever. And you don't get to fuck with it. So, if you enjoyed this reading, feel free to like and subscribe, share, comment, and I'm going to take it a bit further on my Patreon. So all of my extended versions of readings go to Patreon. So if you want to join us and take it a little bit further, please do check that out. I am available for personal readings and yeah.